Hi, thank you for being here with us today. I'd also like to thank our Platinum underwriters who made this event possible, including 5280 Magazine, Colorado Biz, Larry and Margaret Byrne, and Mentor Colorado, celebrated by Joan Brennan. My name is Ismerai Cordova, and I will make a difference in this world. How will you? My mother, San Juana Cordova León, was born in Durango, Mexico in 1959. She immigrated to the United States of America at the age of 12 with her older sister Maria. She had her firstborn Alex at the age of 16 and the last of 7 kids, Ismerai, at the age of 41. For all those wondering where in the category I fall, I'm the annoying baby sister. Isme. I'm 20 years old and Denver, Colorado is my home. I grew up very unstable due to the fact that my mother never settled down and bought a home. We rented every year, and the longest I ever lived somewhere was a little over 3 years. My father, Oscar, wasn't really in the picture since he had been deported when I was only 5 years old. He had a severe drinking problem and was pulled over while drinking under the influence. He spent 5 months in jail before he was sent back to Mexico because he was undocumented. I struggled a lot because I had a really close connection with him. I remember he would pick me up from ECE in the afternoon after work simply because I wanted my papito to pick me up. He would stop the paletero man on Saturday morning because I wanted ice cream, and if my girlfriends were with me, he had to buy them all a popsicle too, because it wasn't fair to me that I could get a paleta and they couldn't. The night my mother broke the news about what had happened and the changes that I was going to face in my life is a night that I carry with me every day. My mother had picked me up from school, and I knew that something was off since my papito hadn't shown up. She said to me that he had to stay late for work. That evening I stayed outside later than usual so that I could greet him as soon as he showed up. The sun set and he still wasn't home. My mom told me to go back inside because she needed to talk to me. How do you tell your 5-year-old daughter that her papito isn't going to show up tonight, tomorrow, or anytime soon? My mother sat me in her lap and said, "Mija, I am going to tell you something that is going to make you sad, but you need to be really strong for me and for your dad." I didn't understand what was going on. My mother then proceeded to tell me, "Your dad isn't coming home, mija. He's going to have to go back to Mexico for a while and make things right." My heart shattered into a million pieces. We drove to Castle Rock about twice a month to visit him, and even though my mother had good intentions, every time I left the correction facility to go back home, I left a small part of me with him. I started acting out, developed severe anxiety, and even an eating disorder. As I grew older, my dad's calls became less constant, and my anger towards him grew bigger. My mother shortly became mom and dad since she was the only parent I had present in my life. My bond with her became so strong. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm the youngest of 7 siblings, so the closest siblings to me are Naha and Nefta, whom are 8 years older than me. At the time, I wasn't really close to them because we had really different interests, but Naha and Nefta were the first generation in my family to graduate high school and to attend college. After they went off to college at CSU Pueblo, it was just me and my mother, San Juana, left at home. My mother had suffered from hypertension for as long as I could remember, but of course she had the typical Mexican diet, and she wasn't very compliant when taking her medications. On October 28, 2012, my mother suffered a stroke and had to be induced into a coma. Naha and I had just gotten home from the movies that Friday night when we found our mother in such critical condition in our kitchen floor. Our family was devastated because our mom was our backbone. During the time that my mother was in the hospital, I decided to keep going to school and to push myself and not to fall off track because I knew that that's what she would have wanted. I was introduced to Miss Lori Pena at our school social worker, because I was struggling a lot in my traditional class atmosphere. She would walk me to class so that I could get my classwork, and then we'd walk right back to her office. She gave me a safe space and allowed me to work along her side. We'd talk about my schoolwork and about how my visits would go with my mother at the ICU after school. About a week later, my mother passed away on November 4, 2012. Ms. Peña realized the toll that my mother's death took on me, and for some reason that day, she decided that giving up wasn't an option for me. My family was grieving, and I didn't have any structure or guidance. About 5 months after my mom passed away, I was introduced to Denver Kids. My father wasn't present in my life. I was living with my 19-year-old sisters, Naha and Efta, and we were about to get evicted from our home. Ms. Peña thought that I would greatly benefit from guidance outside of school. I was sitting in Ms. Peña's office when Karina walked in. She had a bright smile and was very easy to get along with. Karina and Ms. Peña explained to me what Denver Kids was, and I was thrilled to know that I wasn't alone in my struggles and that there was a team willing to walk me and push me to my fullest potential. I wanted to prove my friends, family, and statistics wrong. I was a 12-year-old girl who seemed alone but wasn't alone. Karina became my Denver Kids educational counselor, and I developed a really close bond with her. I integrated and became a part of Denver Kids quite fast. I honestly don't know what my life would be like today if it wasn't for my Denver Kids family. The first event I attended with Karina was the annual pumpkin carving event in October. Karina drove all the way out to Aurora to pick me up so that I could participate in the event. When I arrived, there were so many new faces, but it didn't take long for me to make new friends. I had never carved a pumpkin before, so I was beyond excited. Karina took an important role in my life from there on. She would visit me at school and talk about my grades. If I was ever slacking or wouldn't show up to class, she'd be the first to reach out. When Ms. Peña retired back in 2014, she became a volunteer with Denver Kids. She worked alongside Karina. Here's the thing a lot of people don't know about Denver Kids. When you become a part of it, it's for the long run. It's like when you bring your best friend into your Mexican home. They too become a part of the family. There's an unbreakable bond, and there's no turning back. I became very involved, and I had yet another reason to push myself. I wanted to be a leader for the younger generations that didn't have hope. I wanted to show them that after the storm, there's always a rainbow. The summer of my freshman year, I attended Grab the Torch, a leadership camp that helped guide me and gave me the appropriate tools so that I too could become a leader in my community. During a week and a half, I participated in team building activities. I engaged with speakers who were philanthropists and/or entrepreneurs, and I was given the opportunity to stay on campus at the University of Denver. I also attended the Northwest Leadership Week with Councilman Chris Herden. This is where my interest in the medical field sparked, actually. I was given the opportunity to learn about different careers and the individual roles in the different fields. Every day for a week, we visited a series of sites like Kaiser Permanente, Denver Zoo, Denver Police Academy, Denver Fire Academy, Denver County Jail, and much more. I had always had an interest in the medical field, so I was thrilled when I was able to visit a medical facility and actually be able to have a conversation and ask questions to different healthcare professionals. Throughout my years with Denver Kids, I met a lot of empowering people, built long-life friendships, and I also participated in activities that I never thought I would be a part of in my life. My junior year, I decided that I wanted to take a trip out of the country with my school. I was a recipient of a scholarship for my trip, and I had to go through an interview process to even be considered to travel. I'm a firm believer that because of the years with Denver Kids, I was more than prepared to sit through an interview and answer any questions that were thrown at me. My mentors helped me fundraise and even donated so that I could make this happen. I say mentors because I felt like Karina, Miss Pena, and another Denver Kids adult, Audrey, were always my greatest support team. In July of 2017, I took my first trip ever to Africa. I have to say, I'm all about the experience, not all about the 18+ hour flight. It was a breathtaking journey, and it wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for everyone that supported me, since my family could never afford a trip like that. After all my battles and hard work, I was yet again faced with another obstacle. The week after my 18th birthday, I got into a very bad argument with my sister whom I was living with at the time. There was always a lot of tension and disconnection between the both of us. Our fight escalated so badly that night that I was kicked out of her home. It was my last semester of my senior year, and I was so close to graduating. Since my mother's departure, I had already lived with all my siblings, so I had nowhere else to turn to. I was homeless and living out of my car. I stayed with different friends, but it wasn't long before I ended up living in my partner's parents' living room. I became obsessed with the idea that I needed to provide for myself, so I turned my part-time job into a full-time job. I felt so deep into depression that I even stopped showing up to school. Corina took initiative, met with my counselors at school, and made my teachers aware of my situation. I was so convinced that this was the end of it. I was going to yet be another stereotype, another statistic, and a failure. I didn't get to experience most of my senior activities, like my senior lock-in, senior prank, and I even missed my best friend's senior presentations. The people around me that truly cared, never gave up, gave me the slightest bit of hope. Karina advised I start counseling and referred me to Kim. I saw Kim twice a week throughout my sessions, I realized it was okay not to be okay sometimes, but that giving up wasn't an option for me. I was a warrior, and I was going to make it. I saw Karina, Audrey, and Miss Pena quite often, and they never failed in reaching out. My best friends Giselle and Crystal helped me with my schoolwork during class, during lunch, and even in between classes. I spent countless hours studying at night and making up late work. All the sweat and tears were definitely worth it because I'm proud to say I graduated with my fellow classmates 2018. Go Phoenix! I pursued an education at Pima Medical Institute and walked across yet another stage in 2019 and received my certificate in medical assistance. I'm happy to announce that last fall I started working on my Bachelor's of Science in Health Administration. I can't express enough the impact that Denver Kids had and continues to have in my life. I was a 12-year-old girl who joined the program without anything left to fight for, and I left knowing how much I am truly worth. I was taught that my skin color, my sexual orientation, nor my struggles will define my future. Denver Kids gifted me the tools to change the world, and through leadership and integrity, I will do just that. I hope to one day give back to my community, and who knows, I might become a Denver Kids mentor myself. My name is Ismerai Diaz Cordova, and I will make a difference in this world. How will you?